In a quiet town called Titusville, Pennsylvania, a discovery changed the course of industrial history. Here, Edwin Drake drilled the world's first successful commercial oil well. Before this moment, oil had little value. It seeped naturally from the earth and was mainly used for lamps. But Drake proved something revolutionary. Oil could be extracted commercially. This discovery triggered the first oil boom. Thousands of wells appeared across America. But drilling oil alone would not create the greatest fortune in the industry. The real wealth would come from controlling the oil business itself. And that story begins 11 years later. A businessman named John D. Rockefeller founded a company that would dominate the oil industry. Its name was Standard Oil. Rockefeller understood something others did not. The real profits in oil were not in drilling. They were in refining and distribution. So he built the first vertically integrated oil company. Standard Oil controlled refineries, transportation, distribution. By the 1880s, Standard Oil controlled 90% of America's refining capacity. Rockefeller had created the first oil empire, but history had an unexpected twist, because the empire would eventually be broken apart, and that breakup would create some of the greatest stock market multibaggers ever seen. The breakup of Standard Oil created several independent oil giants. Among them were companies that later became ExxonMobil, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips. Over the next century, these companies generated extraordinary shareholder wealth. Investors who held these stocks for decades saw returns multiply many times over. But the next great catalyst for oil wealth was not a business strategy. It was technology. At the beginning of the 20th century, a technological revolution transformed oil demand. The automobile. Cars turned gasoline into the fuel of modern civilization. Oil demand exploded. Companies like Royal Dutch Shell and BP expanded globally to meet this demand. Oil companies rapidly became some of the most profitable corporations in the world. Investors who recognized this shift early witnessed the first global oil stock boom. During World War I and World War II, oil became the most strategic resource on Earth. Armies depended on gasoline, aviation fuel, and diesel. Military power now depended on oil supply. Countries with access to oil gained enormous strategic advantage. Energy companies supplying fuel to governments experienced massive expansion. The wars accelerated the growth of global oil giants. After World War II, the world entered an unprecedented era of economic growth. Automobile ownership exploded. Air travel expanded. Factories consumed enormous amounts of energy. Oil demand surged globally. Energy companies became the dominant sector in global stock markets. For decades, oil stocks were considered the safest long-term investments. In 1973, the world experienced its first modern energy crisis. The 1973 oil crisis. OPEC reduced oil supply. Prices skyrocketed. Oil prices increased fourfold. The global economy plunged into inflation, but energy companies experienced a historic windfall. Oil stocks surged. For investors, the crisis revealed a powerful truth. Commodity cycles create stock market fortunes. At the start of the 21st century, another force reshaped global energy markets. China's industrial boom. Factories, highways, and megacities created enormous demand for oil. Between 2000 and 2008, oil prices surged from $20 to nearly $147 per barrel. Energy companies once again dominated global stock markets. During this period, companies like ExxonMobil and Chevron became the largest companies in the world by market capitalization. Another oil supercycle had created another wave of stock market winners. Technological innovation created a new generation of oil multibaggers. One breakthrough changed everything: hydraulic fracturing, shale oil extraction. This technology unlocked enormous reserves in the United States. Companies like EOG Resources and ConocoPhillips became major beneficiaries. oil services companies also surged. Companies like Schlumberger and Halliburton became essential technology providers for the industry. In emerging markets, a new oil giant was rising: Reliance Industries. By building the world's largest refining complex in Jamnagar, Reliance created a vertically integrated energy empire. From refining to petrochemicals to retail fuel distribution. This strategy generated massive shareholder wealth. Reliance became one of the largest companies in India. Over more than a century, the oil industry has repeatedly created stock market fortunes. But the biggest multibaggers followed a clear pattern. They emerged when new oil reserves were discovered, technology unlocked new resources, global demand surged during industrial growth, and companies controlled the entire oil value chain. The story of oil is not just about energy. It is about innovation, geopolitics, and investment cycles. And for those who understand these cycles, the next multi-bagger opportunity may already be forming.